on ESPN. On a cold night, we had some snow flurries earlier on in Columbia, South Carolina. As we get set for an SEC matchup, South Carolina 0-1 in the conference. It's the opener for Missouri, 10-3 in the non-conference for the Tigers. They are in their road dark jerseys. South Carolina, fresh off that trip to the Final Four a year ago. They're in their home whites. It is a much different look for the Gamecocks. Backing it into the paint, Kevin Puryear. He'll kick it out to the perimeter. This is a Missouri team, Sean Farnham, that loves to shoot the three.
And it starts with Cassius Robertson. The last 2 games, he's averaging almost 23 points per game. And Beth, 8 made 3-point shots. Frank Martin talked ad nauseum during shoot-around today, saying you have to be there when number 3 gets his hands on the ball. In the opening possession, they weren't there.
This is one of the intriguing matchups right here in the corner. A couple of new starting point guards. Wesley Myers for the 2nd game in a row for South Carolina. Jordan Geist replaces Blake Harris at the point for Missouri. Blake about with the flu this week, so Geist will get the start. And a couple of kicks out of bounds.
Well, this has been a fun day for you and I here in Columbia. And they've got nothing but cold weather, frigid cold weather.
It has certainly affected the turnout. In fact, the campus was shut down for most of the day, and the jumper is good from Justin Minaya.
Well, it not only affected campus, but it affected some of the eateries. There was one that ran out of chicken noodle soup that I asked for.
Very troubling.
And then at dinner tonight, there was no Thousand Island dressing. They've been out of it for 2 days.
Wedge is just not a wedge without the Thousand Islands, although I'm a blue cheese woman myself. The advantage certainly for Carolina could be down on that block. Chris Silva trying to work on Tillman right now.
Boy, has he played well and tried to assert himself in more of an aggressive leadership role.
Taken away by Missouri, and the finish for Jordan Barnett. He's had a hot hand the last month or so for Missouri on the offensive end.
So you and I saw this team against Wagner in the 2nd game of the season. And all the buzz was about, obviously, Michael Porter Jr. and the very talented freshman. I've thought all along, for this team to be successful, you're going to rely on the experienced players on this roster. And that has been a big part of it. And you look at Barnett, who's played a ton of games, Kevin Puryear, who's hit a little bit of a down cycle right now, but I know he's going to level back out and start playing the way that you've come to expect him over the years. And then Cassius Robertson, new to the SEC, but still a prolific scorer. So these are guys that have played a lot of college basketball games, and they understand what it's like to go through difficult road games. And for some of the guys on Missouri, maybe they didn't win those games before now, but there's a confidence level that is building within this Tigers program that I think is really going to benefit them.
The foul was on Jeremiah Tillman, as we see Frank Martin over there on the Carolina bench, now in his 6th season.
Got a great official crew tonight.
This is going to be interesting here relatively soon. In fact, we think out of the first time out, we're actually going to have a referee substitution. But I think right now they're looking to see if it's an elbow to the face of Chris Silva on the Tillman foul.
I think that is contact to the arm, and then Silva kind of sells it. I don't think that they should add anything more to that. Now remember, the replay system in the SEC kind of going to that pro style, like going back to the home office in New York.
To the HQ,
Now they're going back to the home office back in Birmingham, Alabama. Terry Moore, longtime official, is in charge, helping these officials make sure they get the right angle as quickly as they possibly can. I think this is proactive by the SEC to understand that the tempo and the pace of the game sometimes on some of these review take longer. And as officials will tell us all the time, hey, look, we don't want to slow down the game, but we don't get the best angle right away a lot of times. They're hoping to supplement that by the communications directly back to the home office, the home feed, everything being sent in to Birmingham.
There's a look at what's being used for all the conference games. It's Anthony Franklin, Pat Adams, and Joe Lindsay. Now, Anthony Franklin, who's not pictured there, is not a usual official in the SEC, but we told you about the bad weather. They were absent of an official, so Anthony filled in. And Brian Shea, who is a regular SEC official, made it through the bad weather, and the report is that Brian will actually replace Anthony at the first time out. Well, so something you don't see every day.
Well, and I joked with Joe Lindsay, and I said, well, Joe will call enough fouls for 2 officials. There you go. There's a replacement official.
In the bullpen.
Yeah.
We got to get a little Trevor Hoffman Hell's Bells when he comes into the game, or Enter the Sandman, the relief pitcher. Mariano Rivera set to go. And that is, in fact, Anthony Franklin, who just walked over to share the news with you, Sean, about what they've just called.
It's going to be a flagrant 1. I'm surprised by that. I did not think it was going to be excessive. I thought there was a contact that was made, yes, as he was moving across the key, and then dipped below it. And I disagree with that call.
So Chris Silva at the line. He'll knock down the first free throw. 6'9" junior, coming off his 4th double-double of the season in their Ole Miss loss. 21 points, 13 rebounds. He lived at the free throw line, was 11 of 14 the other night.
Well, for a player that just received an unnecessary and excessive foul, he sure looks very comfortable at the free throw line.
They'll get the inbounds here, too.
Look, Jeremiah Tillman does have some foul issues. He's been better as of late. He has not battled them quite as much as he was earlier this season. That's all part of the growth process. Look at Chris Silva, though, garnering that ball.
Strength to rip it right away from Barnett.
He attacked and got that offensive rebound, secured an extra possession for his team. And that's what you look for from a player in Chris Silva. Experienced, veteran, high motor, rebounding out of his position, and that happens when you don't put a body on him, and that's the biggest thing you see nowadays in rebounding. Everybody just watches the ball and tries to utilize their athleticism. Make contact. As soon as the shot goes up, find somebody, put a body on him, and then go get the ball.
Substitution here for Cuonzo Martin. He goes smaller. He brings Blake Harrison to replace Jordan Barnett. Struggling to inbound it, and it will stay with South Carolina. There's a look at Harris, recovering from the flu this week.
He came over to say hello to you.
Yeah.
He knows how to get on camera. Talk to Beth Mowins.
It's been a while since any of these Tigers have been on the court, as a matter of fact. An 11-day layoff since their last game. They haven't played since before Christmas. Kotsar off the bounce, and Mike with the lay-in.
Well, what was the one thing that we talked with Coach Martin about for the Tigers? Said, okay, what are some of the areas you want to see improvement on as you've head towards conference play and you've worked on over this stretch without having a lot of games, you know? He said, well, one-on-one perimeter defense. That was a poor example of perimeter defense and guarding the ball. Far too easy to drive to the middle and get an open layup.
Harris off the bounce short. Frank Booker, the 6'3" grad transfer from FAU.
We've seen anything in the SEC so far in conference play. It's that every possession truly does matter. I mean, a lot of 1- and 2-possession basketball games played last night.
Minaya with the feed to Silva. Contact in the bucket.
And that's going to force Tillman to go to the bench. And Silva does an excellent job creating space. Good pass in. Tillman late rotating over. And although his hands were up when it started at the end of it, they were out in front at the beginning of it. That's why that foul was called.
You mentioned the fact that he'd been staying out of foul trouble of late. He had 2 DQs early in the season, and now Tillman to the bench with a couple of fouls. There's Cuonzo Martin in his first season at Missouri. Of course, played at Purdue for Gene Cady, and then had success at stops in Tennessee and Cal in the Power 5 leagues. And now back close to home. Got a foul off the ball. That's going to be on Chris Silva. The substitution, by the way, for Tillman, number 11, Jonte Porter, Michael Porter's younger brother, at 6'11". He'll give him some more size down low, and here he is inbounding the ball.
Well, they need him to elevate back up to his earlier status. The last 3 games, just 3 of 13 shooting from the floor.
Scoreless against Illinois in 17 minutes of play in their last outing. And here is Porter going to the left hand.
See how he got off balance there, though? I mean, a little nudge underneath, and then all of a sudden he's fading away. He's big enough and strong enough to go straight up and straight down. And for the young interior presence of the Tigers, they've got to get better when they get the ball underneath. And this has been a good three-point shooting team, as you mentioned. But when they get the ball underneath, they need to do something with it.
Good help defense there by the Tigers, and that'll force the turnover as Silva walked with it. And Frank Martin immediately up off the bench and says, hey, you got 2 guys on you. Let's find a friend there. Frank may have used a little more colorful language than I. Off the high ball screen, back to Porter. And he'll knock down the triple.
A really good touch for the lefty beyond the arc. And really, I think one of his best strengths is the ability to space the floor. Remember Luke Cornett for Vanderbilt last year? I mean, not to say that Jonte is going to have that same makeup, but the skill set is there, at least, that you have to honor it. And if you set that on-ball screen and you're popping, that's going to either create a mismatch that allows your point guard to drive against a 5, or they're going to both go with the ball, and you're going to be wide open from beyond the arc.
Speaking of mismatches, Silva's a big problem right now for Missouri. We are all even at 8 apiece. Tigers and Gamecocks early in this first half, and an official substitution when we return.
Basketball battle tonight at 8 on ESPN.
And welcome back to South Carolina. Beth Mowins along with Sean Farnham. We are all even at 8 apiece, the Gamecocks and the Tigers. The big story, though, so far, Sean, may be the substitution, the official substitution, if you will. We've had a referee change.
Yeah, it feels like the Major League. We're going to the bullpen. We're bringing in the Duke. It was a great scene.
Due to some weather, by the way.
Due to weather. So you get a hug. Hey, nice job. That was a good 4 minutes by you. Hey, I'm really excited I get to officiate this game. Hey, by the way, I need that pack off your back. and so then they exchange the microphone.
And Anthony Franklin out, Brian Shea coming in.
So Brian Shea is now in, and he's going to go introduce himself and say, Coach Martin, how you doing? I'm officiating the game today.
Welcome. Look, Conzo's going to get him up to date. Hey, we got way too many fouls on our inside guys so far.
Yeah, you got to start calling it. The other guy wasn't calling it. He's an A10 guy, and you're an SEC guy, and you got to tell him how we do things down here.
Jeremiah Tillman already in some foul trouble. He's sitting with 2. And kudos to the officials. So often we're only speaking about them when there's something controversial going on, but they are a hard-working bunch of men and women, and due to some inclement weather, they had to make some adjustments on the fly tonight. So kudos to Anthony and Brian and Pat Adams and Joe Lindsay still out there with them. 8-3 run right now for South Carolina.
5 of the 8 points for Missouri came off of turnovers. 6 of now the 10 points, or 11 points rather, have come off of threes off of Robertson's hands. You keep getting him open looks, good things are going to happen. They have 3 made field goals from beyond the arc in this game so far.
He's had a hot hand of late. Cassius Robertson, Cash Money with back-to-back 20 in his last 2 outings. See what I did there? Got a whistle and a foul underneath, and this one will go against Carolina. So that time Missouri had the box out.
Well, and you mentioned this earlier on. It's worth repeating. It's been historic so far from beyond the arc for the Tigers. 123 three-pointers, ranked the most in program history for the first 13 games. That's ahead of the 99-2000 team that had 119. And when you space the floor, come off of screens and have space, you give Robertson open looks, they're going to hit a lot of threes tonight if you're going to allow them to do that. We saw threes raining down in College Station last night for Florida. 10
Between Keith Stone and Igor Kulichov, I think they ended up with 17 threes to the Gators in a big road win. I don't know if we can call them upsets, really, Sean, but there were 3 of them based on ranking last night in the SEC.
All right, so given the roster of Texas A&M, that did not surprise me that Florida was going to be able to go in there and run.
3 guys out.
3 starters not playing for Billy Kennedy's team. It did not surprise me that Alabama would lose to a Vandy team that was really comfortable at home. The one that surprised me was Auburn going into Knoxville and getting the win. Look, Auburn's non-conference schedule was not the strongest in the country. It was not the strongest in the conference. So there was reason.
In the state?
There was no. But there was reason to question whether or not that team was going to be able to be strong enough to go win games on the road in conference play, let alone against a Tennessee team that lost a heartbreaking game against Arkansas to start SEC play. Now the Vols are 0-2, and Auburn absolutely dominated them on the glass. 22 offensive rebounds for Bruce Pearl's team. They've won 11 in a row now.
That's the longest this century. You got to go back to the 2000 season for a streak like that.
Now you take a look, in particular, last night's games, and the scores will tell you. Florida, 17 made three-pointers. Auburn, 11 straight victory. Brown and Harper scored 18 apiece. Alabama, Vandy has made 51 shots from the three-point range in the last 4 games. They made 10 against Alabama. Arkansas, Mississippi State. The Weatherspoons, 22 points apiece in that game. A big win for them.
Spoon squared, getting it done. Got to heave it up to try and beat the shot clock, David Beatty. Good defensive set there for the Tigers. As they continue to run with this smaller lineup, Sean, now they've got Terrence Phillips making a run here on the perimeter as well.
Well, that's why, you know, you talk about conference play, the race that we're going to see, you're going to see a lot of upsets. There's not going to be, you know, an 18-0 perfect season by the leader at the end of the day that's going to win the championship in this conference. I think you're looking 3, 4, maybe even more losses for the team that's going to end up winning the SEC title. I think probably around that 3 or 4 loss range.
It's going to be a foul on Kevin Puryear. That'll be his first. On the drive by Minaya.
And just a step slow, rotating over, easy call. And the block charge call, most difficult call that officials have to make, but that one was as easy as you're going to see.
Minaya's been a nice surprise for them in the starting lineup. The freshman at 6'5" out of Harrington Park, New Jersey. Frank Martin really likes the way he approaches practice every day, games every day. There's a maturity to him. And like a lot of the younger guys, Sean, they sort of hit that mid-season wall or have to deal with, you know, playing through the holiday break, and that's what Justin's trying to work through right now.
Well, and you know, he had some good games earlier on the season, 17 points against UMass. He has 6 games where he has 10 or more points. You just need to understand that there's a transitional process that takes place, and these are more minutes at a higher level of intensity, and it's not just in the games. It mainly comes from practices. You know, when you're a freshman, you get recruited by a Division I school, you're the best player on your team. You're the best player in your city. You're the best player in your state. All of a sudden now you show up, you're not the best player in your class. You're not the best player on your team. And that is a difficult transition for a lot of players, and that's really what the wall comes into. It's the mental grind of how much studying you need to have done, not just in the classroom, but game film and trying to get better during the season.
Nice play by Booker to strip it loose from Harris, and then it goes off of Harris out of bounds.
Good defense on the drive, quick hands. And that's been a staple, obviously, for Frank Martin's team. And a year ago, they rode their defense all the way to a Final Four, in which was a historic finish and really the catalyst of SEC's success. I mean, you look at South Carolina last year, first ever Final Four they ever got to. The conference as a whole won more games than any other conference in the country. And a large part of that is because of South Carolina. Obviously, Florida, Kentucky, they all made runs to the Elite Eight as well.
Booker off the bounce. It's been over 4 minutes now since their last bucket, and Kotsar barely touches iron. Gonna stay with the Gamecocks.
But it's that run of the postseason that has carried over momentum into November and December and has helped change the national narrative of what the SEC is as far as a basketball conference.
What's the talk now? How deep the league is, and how they may be pushing for 7 or 8 teams into the NCAA tournament when all said and done. Bouncing it off a defender, and Myers off the window to break the drought.
Well, that's a good way to get on SportsCenter. Not top 10 or top 10, depending upon what list they want to put it on. Do they want to put it on the inbounder, or do they want to put it on the guy with his back to the ball? You've always got to have awareness of where the ball is. If you don't, you get embarrassed on national television. Myers with a smart play right after off of Jonte Porter.
Grad transfer out of Maine, one of 2 grad transfers in the starting lineup tonight.
By the way, Frank Martin does not actually have a play that is designed.
That was not, yeah,
to throw the ball off the backside of a defensive player. Barnett, though, as I mentioned, 19.5 points per game over the last 4. 2 out of the last 3, he's actually gotten a double-double. So he's rebounding the ball, he's scoring the ball. His maturity and ability to just keep playing. That was one of the things Coach Martin talked to you and I about. And you asked him, hey, what's the difference in how he's playing? He goes, look, he's one of those guys you never worry about whether he has a good game or a bad game. You know he's just going to play on to the next one. He's had a lot more good games than he's had bad games as of late.
He's also been a killer at the free throw line, over 90%. One of the best in the country. Under 12 to go here in the first half. A 1-point Missouri lead on the road.
Whenever Blue Bloods face ranked road tests, it's gonna be a blockbuster.
That was an impressive move.
This is a Sonic blockbuster. Duke Miami at 7, then Kansas West Virginia at 9. Monday on ESPN.
It's just important to me that every day I wake up feeling like I'm living my best life and I'm being my best self. The more things that I can do to help me see what might be coming down the path allows me to really feel prepared and to plan. Knowledge is power, and things like 23andMe puts that power in your hands, and it gives me a great sense of confidence going forward.
Know your body. Understand your DNA with 23andMe. Order your Health Plus Ancestry Kit by January 31st and get $30 off at 23andme.com.
Columbia, South Carolina, a 1-point lead. Missouri over the Gamecocks. 11:58 to go here in the first half. How about a South Carolina season rewind to the Final Four? They went a school record 26 wins, but then they lost a ton due to graduation, due to a guy leaving early, due to a suspension. It's a whole new look. They open up the SEC with a road loss against Ole Miss, and now coming back home to try and turn things around. There's one of the all-time greats, Alex English, looking on, College Basketball Hall of Famer.
Well, you think about the job Frank Martin has done. Everywhere he goes, he holds the single-season record for wins at Kansas State, and he holds the single-season record for wins in a single here at South Carolina, and then leads them all the way to the Final Four, posting his first NCAA tournament win since 1973.
Yeah, they hadn't even been to the NCAA tournament in over a decade, and that changed in a hurry.
Well, and the shame about it, too, is you go back to what was the catalyst for all of that was getting snubbed the year before when they had a great season.
And one on a 3-ball from Jordan Barnett.
Don't foul a jump shooter. Right? I mean, that's rule number 1. Don't foul a jump shooter. And what happens when you foul a jump shooter is you're off balance, so you're jumping into the shooter. And that one was so late that it was actually a clean shot, and then the foul, earning the trip to the free throw line. But good execution for Missouri.
First foul on Meyer, so Barnett 2 for 2 today. That makes him 39 for 42 on the season. From 15 feet away without any defense, and he knocks down another for a 4-point play and a 5-point lead.
So the guys that we were talking about coming into this game have certainly shown up tonight. Barnett already a quick 8. Robertson a quick 6.
And Conto Martin's not afraid to go to that bench. He's been playing a lot of guys already. He said he actually really enjoyed the 11-day break, especially over the Christmas holiday. He thought it was real important for guys, he and his coaches included, to get a little family time this time of year, catch their breath, come back fresh. He liked the way they returned and went right to work.
He agrees with Fran Fraschilla, because Fran actually tweeted this the other day, that he thinks every program should be mandated to give their kids 5 days off during the winter break. And that's what Missouri had. He said, look, they came back a little bit rusty in that first practice as far as execution, but energy level had increased and it had picked back up. There was a level of excitement to get ready for conference play. Fran Fraschilla, by the way, is running for NCAA basketball commissioner.
He'd get a lot of votes for that. Short on the shot, but there's Jonte Porter. Had it, couldn't hang on.
You know what he'll be running for this year? To see if this is finally going to be the season where somebody knocks off Kansas
May very well be, huh?
I mean, look, they took a loss at home against Texas Tech, and a good job by Texas Tech in the way they fought. But Kansas already lost at home earlier this year, actually, to Arizona State in Allen Fieldhouse.
Offensive foul there on Barnett on the spin. Booker was waiting for him in the lane. Yeah, what is it, 13 in a row, right? That could be in jeopardy, Big 12 titles.
And of course, that Trae Young, who's playing tonight against Oklahoma State, just can't miss television. This one, you can't see the defensive player when you turn your back and you spin into him. And easy call that time.
First on Barnett. He's leading all scorers. Actually, he and Silva with 8 apiece.
That's a call against Robertson. I thought that was an illegal screen. I thought Robertson was pushed up because of the screener.
The first on Cash. And that'll put Carolina into the bonus here for Booker. Frank, we mentioned Florida Atlantic. Prior to that, he was at Oklahoma. This is his 3rd stop. Let's see.
Well, as you watch this,
oh, yeah.
There's an extension. That's an illegal screen. There is no way that's a foul on Robertson. That is a bad call.
Could have looked at that as well as a high elbow.
If that was a flagrant one earlier in the game against Tillman, then that's a flagrant one there. I mean, if you are setting a screen, you're not allowed to turn your hip, extend up your arm into the defensive player's face to try to clear out space on a handoff. Can't do it.
Pressure off the make here for Carolina. Under 10 minutes to go in a 1-point game here in the first half. And the walk. Travel called on Robertson. Geist will come back into the game. Give Harris a breather. 6th turnover for Missouri. If there's been a bugaboo for them, it has been the turnover problems. 13 out of 14 teams in the SEC with a negative margin this year. Booker coming off that high screen. Silva maybe called for the push, and that could be 2 on Chris. Let's see who they give it to here.
And it is. A lot of fouls in this game so far. It has not allowed for really any flow or tempo to be established.
So that's both bigs now out. Silva sitting. Jeremiah Tillman's been sitting for quite a while in the first half for Missouri.
A couple more fouls will get Coach Martin and Coach Martin out of the floor. Get them to go against each other in their suit.
Barnett looking for 3. Got it.
Boy, did he shoot that ball confidently. That ball hit his hands, Beth, and it was out and ready to go. Soft off the fingertips, elevation straight up, straight down. He's just feeling it right now. You sense it. We saw it today at shoot-around. We saw it in warm-ups.
He's got 11 points already, and the response from Felipe Hasse, the 6'9" freshman from Chile.
I like that.
Geist fouled there by Wesley Myers. That's going to be number 2 on Wesley. Well, Saturday on ESPN, we've got a couple of ACC matchups for you. North Carolina, they lost earlier tonight. They'll take on Virginia in Charlottesville. Virginia battling Virginia Tech tonight. And then the nightcap, Marvin Bagley III and 2nd-ranked Duke taking on NC State in Raleigh. That's always a good one. In the Triangle, both those games also streaming live on the ESPN app.
And it's really become appointment viewing when you think of Trae Young at Oklahoma, Marvelous Marvin Bagley, and then DeAndre Ayton from Arizona. Even though all 3 players I mentioned aren't in the SEC, if you're not tuning in and watching those guys, I mean, you're missing them. I mean, they are outstanding basketball talents. Last weekend, they all had themselves a game. Bagley with 30 points and 20 rebounds. 30 and 15 for Trae Young in assists, leads the nation in scoring and assists. And then 23 and 19 for DeAndre Ayton against Arizona State in a big win for the Wildcats.
Offensive foul. They're going to be called on Hasse with the off arm. Frank Martin saying, hey, that was a flop, fellas. That's the second rather on Felipe. We talked earlier about how enamored the Tigers have been of the three ball. In fact, Cuonzo Martin was telling us they shoot about 22 a game. He said, we'd love to shoot 25 to 30 a night. Well, so far tonight, 5 triples and 1 two-pointer.
Well, and the funny thing about it is that right before he said that, he said, we really got to start getting the ball down low. I said, Coach, how can you do both? You want to get the ball down low, but yet you want to shoot 33 pointers in a single game.
Porter on the drive, came up short.
And he goes, you know what? The key is to it is finding the balance.
Yep.
We got to let our young guys know. I want us to shoot 3, but if they've got inside position, if they've got a foot or 2 feet in the paint, we've got to get them the ball and give them confidence to make moves and score for us.
Rejected by Porter. Geist quickly clears and pushes. Barnett feeling it. Another triple for Barnett. Assists Terrence Phillips.
I would find him every possession right now. If I'm a guard, I'm on Missouri, and I want to get an assist and make myself look like I'm making smart plays.
Feed him.
I'm finding 21 and go for it. Shoot it.
3 triples, 14 points in the first half for Barnett. Continues to scorch the nets. Averaging nearly 20 a game over the last 8 games for Missouri. Mid-range, Minaya.
See, now, if you're Geist, drive right down the sideline and then kick and do a little shovel pass.
Where's number 21? In graphite.
Is the left-hand side of your screen. Deep corner.
Porter will try first, and he'll knock down the triple. How about the three-point shooting for Missouri?
It has been red hot all evening long. They are 7 of 10 from beyond the arc to start. You get a 3. You get a 3. It's Oprah Winfrey basketball here in Columbia, South Carolina.
Honey, did you know cricket covers over 99% of Americans?
Yeah, I did know that. I also knew that.
This holiday season, get the gift of coverage for $30 a month.
Try Degree Ultra Clear Black Plus White. Saves your white clothes from yellow stains and black clothes from white marks. Still with 48-hour sweat protection. Try Degree Ultra Clear Black Plus White. It won't let you down.
Missouri loves to shoot the 3 ball, and it has been flowing all night long. Robertson from the corner. He's 2 of 3 from beyond the arc. Porter, 2 of 2 from beyond the arc. And then Barnett, 3 of 4, 14 points for him. In fact, only 1 made 3-pointer by South Carolina. Meanwhile, Missouri is 7 of 10. They are plus 18 off the 3-point line in this game so far this evening, and 7 assists on 8 made field goals so far in this game.
Just 1 2-pointer. That's all Missouri has needed to open up their biggest lead of the night. 27-19.
And credit to Jontay Porter, by the way, coming off the bench, making an impact on this game. 6 points, 4 rebounds, 2 block shots. After I'd mentioned in the previous couple games, really struggling, just 3 of 13 shooting, and a combined 10 points.
Mike Kutzar with the 3. Reminder, too, both bigs in foul trouble. Jeremiah Tillman out for Missouri. Chris Silva sitting for South Carolina.
I wonder if we're going to see a high ball screen and then Jontay Porter pop, maybe?
Just like that. There he is, Porter. Got another one.
I mean, it's not a secret. If I'm sitting over here predicting what's going to happen out on the floor 15 seconds before it does.
It's like you played or something.
I guarantee you that Frank Martin and his coaching staff is yelling the same thing.
8 for 11, shooting from downtown.
What a half for Jontay Porter. I know his brother Michael's probably back enjoying watching this one.
Oh, loving it. Mike Kotsar. How about Michael? Active on social media this week, huh?
He was.
And they had a press conference yesterday saying, giving just a sliver of hope. So you're saying there's a chance, all you Dumb and Dumber fans out there with the reference.
I thought you were talking about me.
That he might be back from his back injury. There's a two-pointer, a rarity today in the first half.
It'd be great for him. It'd be great for this program, who has already, I think, positioned itself, as we showed you off the top of the broadcast. Joe Lunardi has them in the field as of right now. And, you know, this turnaround for Missouri is more than just Michael Porter. And that's not taking away the talent that Michael Porter is. Clearly, he's a guy that is a projected top pick in the NBA draft. But they've got a lot of talent on this roster. And if you were able to interject him back at some point in time where he had enough to get himself back into a rhythm and fit into what this team is doing, it makes him that much stronger, especially down the stretch of conference play.
Robertson on the drive, stripped by Beatty.
But at the end of the day, you also have to be able to understand, and we'll show you the Instagram post of Michael Porter and saying he was running into 2018 and then he used a bunch of emojis, and the last one said, back soon. And that's what got a lot of people talking. I like the cryptic message, Michael. Work it.
They've already sold out all their home games. Of course, the new coach, Conzo Martin, trying to help the Tigers bounce back from their worst season in 50 years last year. They were only 2-16 in the league.
They're going to be much better than that this year.
They've already got more wins overall. They only had 8 last year. Approaching the 4-minute mark of the first half. South Carolina trying to fight their way back into this. The fadeaway Myers comes up short. Scramble for the loose ball. Mizzou's got it. Geist finding Barnett, quick to pull another trigger.
His feet weren't quite set underneath him that time. I think he could have utilized a shot fake, take one dribble to the side because they were closing out.
On the back door, and then the kick out. Minaya the other side. Stay with South Carolina. We'll take the timeout. 3:33 to go. Hot shooting first half for Barnett, the Tigers.
Guess what I just got? Hello, guys. That's a big phone. Oh, my phone.
You built the flame that warms my heart, but your lying and cheating has torn us apart. And I'm moving on.
Oh, they lucked into a 2-2 draw. Lucked into a 2-2 draw today in London, in one of the great derbies.
I'm going to let our nation know. Beth, you knew that Dallin was back in studio, and I looked at you, I said, are you watching soccer right now?
I was watching some soccer today.
And you were like, yeah, Dallin's back in studio. I got to make sure I'm all over this.
I still like him even though he backs the wrong club. You know, I got to respect the fact that he's an Arsenal.
I love the commitment to excellence that you bring each and every broadcast.
They had 2 goals apiece. Missouri right now only has the 2 2-pointers. Everything else has been 3 balls. They've got 8 triples. That foul on Felipe Haas, his 3rd. And the story so far, the 14 points for Jordan Barnett and that three-point shooting. In particular, Jontay Porter coming in off the bench. Big help, big boost for the Tigers.
I think right now, if you're Missouri, you're really excited about how this half has gone. You weathered some early foul trouble. It was a tight game, choppy at the start. But now you've been able to control a lot of this game. And you've been physical without fouling over the last 5 minutes until that foul right there. But able to execute, get the quality of shot that you want against the South Carolina team. In order for them to have success, they still have to hang their hat at the defensive end.
And when you talk about South Carolina, the dilemma for Frank Martin, one of them is where does the leadership come from? How do you make a comeback with such a precarious point guard position? You know, they've run through 4 different guys when you look at where they were at the end of last season to now due to the matriculation there and the injuries at that spot. You go to Wesley Myers today, who was essentially the 5th guy in line when the season ended a year ago.
Well, and of course, P.J. Dozier was one of those guys that, in my opinion, he shouldn't have left.
Yeah.
He should have come back and been the face of this program, the face of the Final Four banner, and continue to help this program grow. But you can't look back and say, okay, what if and how would have life been different? You move forward. And then you have the situation with Felder, who dealt with an off-the-court issue and has just actually been allowed to come back into school. Was not even allowed to be on campus for the first portion of this year.
Frank Martin was telling us he may be back around the team by as early as next week. And then still a decision moving forward about what kind of impact he may have moving forward. There is the NCAA Final Four banner from last year's record-breaking season, 26 wins. That was a pretty impressive run, too, when you look back. You know, they had the tight game early against Marquette. Then they shocked Duke. They beat Baylor, and then in the All-SEC Elite Eight, they get by Florida before falling in the semis to Gonzaga.
And Darius Thornwell doing really well for the Clippers, starting to carve out his own path and to success at the next level. And a big part of that is because the way he was taught how to play defense and the toughness that he learned while here at South Carolina. So often players get hung up on their offense. It's not about the offense at the next level. Can you defend your position? Are you elite at that? You'll find time out on the floor.
Cud will end what ultimately became the second 4-minute scoring drought of the half there for South Carolina.
Oh, what a nice shot fake by Jontay Porter.
And he'll draw, nope, not going to draw a foul. Offensive foul, that's the second one that Frank Booker has taken today. That'll be the first foul on Jontay.
And Jontay Porter, a little shot fake and drive underneath. Again, I think he was late getting there. I think that's a block, and I think Porter should be at the free throw line.
Jontay may have taken a little hit to the midsection as well, trying to shake it off. Won't go. Kotsar with the weak side rebound. Cud can't get the bounce. Porter with a rebound.
Good decision that time by Barnett. Pull it back out.
Porter will try for 3 more. Puryear gets him another possession. Robertson will step into it and knock it down.
And statistically speaking, you get such a high percentage shot on the offensive rebound and the kick out immediately for a 3. And Puryear so smart in finding Robertson from beyond the arc.
9 for 15 from downtown in the half as Kotsar drives and draws the foul. That'll be the second on Jontay Porter. Final minute of this first half. Kotsar, the 6'10 sophomore from Estonia. able to complete the three-point play. Missouri will call the timeout here. 48 seconds to go. We will be back to South Carolina in 30. Saturday at noon Eastern on ESPN2, it's the FCS championship game. 13-1 North Dakota State, undefeated James Madison. The Dukes, the defending champs, the Bison won the 5 titles prior to that down in Frisco, Texas. North Dakota State and James Madison.
Well, and James Madison, of course, ended that title run you alluded to, 27-17 victory last year in the semifinals. And I think you've got to watch the defense when you look at James Madison. They've got a trio of Hawkins, Ankra, and Carter that combined for 23 sacks on the season. And they put a lot of pressure, and North Dakota State's going to have to figure that out.
Nail-biting time for one of our executives, Lee Fitting. One of the Duke great alums.
You know, he's going to relax. He's going to be enjoying life as Brian Shore, who passed for over 3,000 yards this year, 26 touchdowns, really balanced offense. They found a lot of different wide receivers, and then you hand the ball off to a player like Marcus Marshall, 800 yards rushing this season for James Madison. I'd like to get
anything else you got there that you want to?
I'd like to get the Bears' thoughts on this. Can we bring the Bear in, and can he slap the little Bear logo like he's been doing?
Don't count out the Bison, of Carson Wentz fame. Beatty knocking it down. A chance here to hold on for one final shot for Missouri. Good chance it'll be a triple. They've hit 9 of them here in the first half. Barnett, 21. He's at the hot hand. He's at the bottom of your screen.
Whoops. That's not.
Lost it. It's going over to South Carolina.
That wasn't great execution. And with this lineup on the floor, I would have rather had the ball in Barnett's hands and allowed Puryear to come set a screen on him rather than Phillips, who literally dribbled it off his foot. Well, that's a travel.
And that's a turnover right back to Missouri. Myers caught it on his hip.
You think point guard problem's been an issue?
It sure has.
Really, for both teams. I mean, trying to find consistency at the point guard position. It's the difference of having a successful season and struggling.
Yep. 1.8 to get a shot up here. Phillips in time, good if it goes. 39-27, Missouri with the halftime lead. They hit 9 3-pointers. And they will take the lead into the locker room, and we will send it back to the studio for the Land Rover halftime report. Chris Cotter, Dallin Cuff, Tom Creek. Welcome back here to Columbia, South Carolina, Missouri on a 19-8 run over the last 9 minutes. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. At the half, 39-27, Tigers with the lead over the Gamecocks. It's the SEC opener for Missouri. South Carolina 0-1 to open up league play. Beth Mullins along with Sean Farnham. We knew that Missouri wanted to shoot the 3, Sean, and they have shot it quite well so far.
Yeah, it was a historic start. 123 made 3-pointers in the first 13 games. They left the gas pedal down in the first half. I mean, they absolutely got so comfortable from beyond the arc. 9 assists on 11 made field goals. 4 of those made field goals came from Jordan Barnett, but 3 of those 4 came from beyond the arc. 14 points for him in the first half. And remember, he's the hottest player coming in, averaging 19.5 points per game over the last 4 contests. Having a couple of double-doubles in those games. However, only 1 rebound for him in the first half. The big player for me that kind of changed the whole game was actually Jonte Porter. 11 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 block shots off the bench for the Missouri Tigers. And this is a Missouri Tigers team, and we were talking about this during halftime. But they haven't won a road game in conference play since 2014.
January of 2014 at Arkansas. It has been a long time. 20 minutes away from ending that drought. Geist, Barnett, Puryear, Robertson, and Tillman is back out there. 2 quick fouls on Jeremiah. Only played 3 minutes in the first half. Chris Silva will be back out there as well for Carolina. He only played 7 minutes. Scored 8 points in those 7 minutes, but then had to sit with a couple of fouls. He's out there with Kotsar and Booker and Myers and Minaya.
Well, if you're South Carolina, that's what you're hopeful for, is Silva dominated this game early. And if you can stay out of foul trouble and stay out on the floor, give you a chance to grind out this game.
Kotsar bodying up on Puryear, and that's going to be a foul on Mike. And he has 2. Touch for Tillman, and he's going to be called for the offensive foul. That's number 3 on him.
And he'll go to the bench, and Jonte Porter will come in. And Jeremiah Tillman, we mentioned his early foul troubles this season, had 2 foul outs to start the year, had 10 straight games where he didn't foul out. If he gets back out on the floor in this game, I'm telling you, with the way he's playing tonight, he's fouling out.
Yeah, it's 4 minutes on the night. That's it. Nice drive and off the window for Wesley Myers, a grad student transfer out of Brooklyn. Jonte Porter, rebounded by Booker.
Started hot from beyond the 3-point line, and then now has struggled a little bit the last couple of shot attempts. The last 2 he took, he's missed on that screen and pop for Porter.
Going to be a foul on Geist. That'll be his second.
This is expected. And when I say this is expected, what is this? Well, this is South Carolina coming out of the locker room and playing with a renewed sense of purpose, showing fight, showing some toughness.
Silva immediately double-teamed and turns it over.
Joe Lindsay was talking about where the ball was going to go out because they've got that new shape they put down on the floor, and where, depending upon where the ball was touched, depends on whether or not the ball is going to the sideline or out of bounds underneath. They ruled it was outside of that diagonal line from the elbow all the way down to the corner. Thus, you take it out front.
Changes this year in the college game. Geist off the screen, looking to get it back to Porter. He's left unattended.
It was poor recognition that time by Jonte.
Geist, Silva fouled him on the shot. And he was behind the line for 3. And a chance for their second 4-point play of the night.
Good patience in that set. Porter missed the line, the straight line drive that he had available to him, but the end result ends up working out even better for Missouri. And Geist picks up the foul, and not only did they pick up the foul, they pick up the foul, I believe it was on Silva, which is his third personal
Should be
foul.
the third on Silva, right? Yes, it is. I'm going to stay in the game for the time being.
Silva, and this is the change in the role from where he was a season ago, where he's a complementary part to the talented trio of guards that they had. This year, needing to be on the floor, needing to be the focal point for Carolina to find success, and a good straight line drive that time. But it's difficult to make that transition. You know, complementary role player on a very good team to being the guy on a team that has a lot of new pieces and a lot of new players in different roles.
Frank Martin called it the featured player. And we saw Silva start to come on, especially during the tournament last year. He was in double figures in all 5 of their NCAA tournament games in their run to the Final Four. But this year, no Sindarius Thornwell, no P.J. Dozier, no Dwayne Notice, no Justin Mackey. Opportunity for guys to step up, and they're looking first and foremost to Chris to be that guy now that they have turned the page into SEC play. Robertson getting around Booker to use the glass.
Great footwork, though. Jump stop, stay on balance, pivot.
Around and out for Beatty. Geist off the nice cross, goes to the left side. Booker, going to say he was out of bounds, but it looked like he slammed it off of Geist while Jordan was out of play.
I thought Geist forced that one. I thought he should have kicked it out. Robertson was in the corner. The defense started to collapse into him. A little pullback dribble, skip pass over the top. He would have found Robertson wide open for three. Instead, drives right into traffic and a lot of white jerseys, not any black jerseys, and then the officials just correctly reversed the call. And I think that was an excellent call by this officiating group.
Heads up play by Booker to slam it off of Geist, who was already standing out of bounds. They've cut the deficit to 10, and now they get it back down to 12. 10 is as close as they've been in the second half.
You got to stop the ball, and nobody stopped the ball defensively. And if they're not, then Carolina should just keep straight line driving it all this entire second half. Don't settle for anything from beyond the arc.
Robertson, good job of relocating on the perimeter, and Harris was able to find him.
That's 11 three-point shots made now on the game for Missouri.
4 of them for Robertson.
We saw 17 last night by Florida.
We're seeing more and more of these grad students show up around the country. Right, Sean? And it's the challenge always is, okay, most of these guys are making a step up in competition, and there's 3 of them here tonight, and how will that correlate? And certainly for Robertson, playing with a sense of urgency, playing with a lot of free time to live in the gym pretty much to get himself ready to play in the SEC.
Well, and also with the goal of doing something special. And Missouri has a chance still. And I thought that for the entire season. Even without Porter, when we saw him against Wagner, I thought Missouri's an NCAA tournament team. And I think at the end of the year, they're going to end up being a tournament team. And for Coach Martin in his first season, trying to galvanize the fan base, reestablish the recruiting base for the Missouri Tigers, this is an important time to demonstrate the style of play and the foundation of his program. It's the foundation of the program that the other Coach Martin has had that has built success here at South Carolina.
Silva hits the triple.
And much better from beyond the arc, Silva, this year than he has ever been over the course of his career. He didn't make a 3 in his first 2 seasons. That's his 4th of the season now. But Coach Crean could tell you back in studio, when you take over a new job, you've got to try to fit in, but most importantly, you've got to define who you are as a coach. What is the system that you're putting in place? What's the identity of your program and how you want your team to play?
Cuonzo Martin talked about how he wants toughness to be a part of that culture.
And if that's on Silva, that's his 4th personal foul away from the ball. He is not happy about it. Frank Martin's not saying anything. It'll be Missouri basketball.
That is indeed the 4th on Chris Silva. A 12-point Missouri lead. That is indeed the 4th on Chris Silva. A 12-point Missouri lead.
Crean could tell you back in studio, when you take over a new job, you've got to try to fit in, but most importantly, you've got to define who you are as a coach. What is the system that you're putting in place? What's the identity of your program and how you want your team to play?
Cuonzo talked about how he wants toughness to be a part of that culture.
If that's on Silva, that's his 4th personal foul away from the ball. He is not happy about it. Frank Martin's not saying anything. It'll be Missouri basketball.
That is indeed the 4th on Chris Silva. A 12-point Missouri lead. Center Chris Silva just picked up his 4th personal foul.
And this is a questionable call. And you watch as the shot goes up, he spins off, and a little bit of contact underneath. And to me, that is a play on. That is not a 4th personal foul against Chris Silva. And unfortunately, when you have a foul call like that, and Silva unhappy about it, deservedly so, he goes to the bench. And that changes everything for South Carolina. And he's still talking to his teammates on the bench right now. And take the best player off the floor, and things start to fall apart a little bit for South Carolina. We'll see if Missouri's able to capitalize. Barnett not doing a whole lot here in the second half.
And he just got his pocket picked, and then Jordan whistled for the foul. That's Evan Hinson, the 6'4" sophomore from Deltona, Florida, who just joined the basketball team today, Sean, after spending the fall with the Gamecocks football team. And he's got his teammates fired up over there on the bench, making a play as soon as he checks in.
Yeah, a little toughness. We'll see if it resonates through. With Silva out, they're going to need somebody to ignite this team.
Barnett heading the other way with it, and he'll get the lay-in. His first bucket of the second half, he's now got 16. 11 three-pointers and 4 two-pointers. The scoring so far for Missouri today. Kotsar spinning, going to the left. Minaya, second chance. That won't go. Hinson kept it alive. Beatty off the bounce. Had it taken away by Barnett. Geist with the push, and he'll get the lay-in.
And Silva goes out and sits down, and 4 quick points, both of them coming in the paint, and now the largest lead of the game for Missouri. The second time that they've led by 16 in the game.
Foul on Missouri here.
Now defense leading the offense, the run out, quick hands by Barnett underneath the throw ahead, and then you realize there's not a shot blocker on the floor. And when you know there's not a shot blocker on the floor, boy, the confidence level of attacking the rim and scoring in the paint goes through the roof.
That foul was on Puryear, his 3rd. Backdoor, Hinson. Couldn't put it down, tipped back up, and Geist has it. Geist, nice move to the left side, and back-to-back lay-ins on the run for Jordan Geist. Timeout, South Carolina.
The Tigers relied on the three-point shooting in the first half. The second half, it's been a lot of getting to the rim, being inside the three-point line, being strong and able to finish. Missouri hasn't won a road game in the SEC in 32 games. They have an 18-point lead here in the second half.
Monday on ESPN, it's the College Football Playoff National Championship game presented by AT&T. An all-SEC affair. Alabama, Georgia, from Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. It's at 8 Eastern, also streaming live on your ESPN app. All right, you know a whole lot about the FCS championship game. How about
Here's what I know. It just matters more. I will tell you this. The injury to Jennings concerns me, the linebacker. I mean, look, Alabama has been decimated on the defensive end of the field, in particular the linebacking core, all season long. The experience is there for them, and the way their defense performed against Clemson was very impressive. What concerns me, though, is will Georgia stick to the run, and will they utilize Chubb and continue to grind out, and just literally get 4 or 5 yards every single time and just be comfortable with that. And I think if they can do that, the healthier linebacking core, the healthier defense right now is on the side of Georgia.
Yeah. Kirby Smart, by the way, will attempt to become the first Saban assistant to beat Saban.
11-0. 11-0 is Nick Saban. And the other thing that's impressive, too, is the margin of victory for Nick Saban in those games. It's like 26, 27 points. But it's going to be in Atlanta. It's going to be an all-SEC affair. Both teams have played.
Tough ticket.
Both teams have played in that building this year, too. Remember, go back to Alabama taking on Florida State at the start of the year inside the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And then, of course, the SEC championship game was played there.
You want an 18 playoff? I'd like an 18 playoff.
I do. Now, do you think it's a little ridiculous that UCF is going to put a banner up that says national champions?
Yeah, I don't
what are they national champions of?
Agree with that. I would have loved to have seen them have a shot. I mean, they beat the team that has beaten the two teams that are in the championship.
Yeah, again,
not as a 4, but as an 8.
Have a parade.
Yeah.
Have a parade. Celebrate. Be excited about the season. It was a tremendous year. Undefeated. They'll be the only undefeated team in college football this season. But to put up a banner that says you're a national champion when you haven't been named a national champion by anyone, I mean, that seems, for me at least, to be problematic.
Story in this one has been the three-point shooting and 11 fast break points for Missouri to none for USC. They've also hit 11 triples. In fact, they almost have as many threes as South Carolina has baskets tonight. The other big news, though, for South Carolina, there's a major announcement coming up here. We got a date now, right?
January 20th, Zion Williamson is going to announce where he's going to go to college. And there's 3 schools as Barnett does what Barnett does and hit a wide-open, uncontested 3. The 3 teams that he's looking at in particular,
from his home state,
Kentucky, and then South Carolina. And those are the 3 teams. And you can look at the internet, and they'll tell you that they think Clemson's probably in the lead a little bit right now. But
number 2 recruit in the country.
But you've got to be aware of a player that's that talented and is that important to building your program. You're going to stay with him, and you're going to ride it all the way through. South Carolina fans will be watching to see if he makes his decision. They might want to make a decision to guard Jordan Barnett from beyond the arc, because when you don't put a hand up, he's been knocking it down all night long. He's got 19.
For the Missouri Tigers, of course, all the hype about Michael Porter Jr. and ended up only playing a couple of minutes in their season opener and then out with a back injury. May not be for the season. That's still TBA. They went down to the Advocare Invitational, lost to West Virginia in the championship game. They're 10-3 on the season with wins over Iowa State and St. John's. Coming off a loss to Illinois before the Christmas break, it was an 11-day layoff, and they are coming back strong here tonight. 3 guys in double digits led by Jordan Barnett. They have 12 three-pointers. South Carolina has 13 baskets all told.
When you saw there that Joe Lunardi has them in the last 4 in, I think that's going to continue to improve. I really do. Look, Missouri's making a statement here tonight. Road wins are going to be difficult in the SEC. Look at tonight. Kentucky struggled against LSU, won by 3. And you've got to fight and you've got to scratch. And this is a Missouri team that hasn't found any success on the road. And they're 11 minutes away from really a huge confidence-building win.
What's the over-under going to be on number of three-pointers when they host Florida on Saturday? The Gators had 17 triples last night in their road win against Texas A&M. A dozen threes tonight for Missouri.
Well, they were really disappointed with how things went against Illinois.
Harris drops it off for Robertson, and he's fouled. They've got a nice little stretch coming up here now, Sean, with Florida, Georgia, at Arkansas, hosting Tennessee, and then at Aggieland in their next 5 games.
And that's the thing. You look at this is the new and improved SEC, and this is what fans need to realize is you can look at their schedule and say, that's a really important stretch, and you're right, 100%. But then start looking at everybody else's schedule, and you'll start to see a lot of the same. Now, the benefit is 3 of those 5 games are at home. And if you want to be in the top half of conference play this year, you've got to win your games at home and try to do the best you can out on the road. Georgia picked up a nice victory tonight over Ole Miss. Juwan Parker, the super senior, 18 points, 11 rebounds, 4 of 4 from beyond the arc.
Sounds like LSU had a chance, almost clipped Kentucky tonight. The Cats held on to win.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 18 points, got to the free throw line, I think 13 times in the second half of that game. He's been their best player so far in the SEC in particular, but you go back to that Louisville game and how important he was off the bench. He's establishing himself as the primary scorer and the heart and soul of that team right now.
Shot clock down to 2. Beatty's going to have to heave it, and he hits the 3. As we hit the midway point of this second half.
It's 2 3-pointers in a very short period of time.
Tillman called for the offensive foul, and that's his 4th. And Jeremiah just smiling, says, I can't catch a break tonight.
Well, he'll go out, and Jonte Porter will come back in. That's the difference, really, between the two teams. When Silva goes out, there's a drop-off.
Yep.
When Tillman goes out, you're bringing in a very different player, but a skilled player in Jonte Porter. Both big men in trouble, and now it's up to the depth and the guards.
8 minutes for Tillman, only 12 minutes for Chris Silva tonight. Off the turnover, Geist. Porter finds a lane, and then Jonte will head to the free throw line.
Remember, earlier in the half, he had that seam and that gap, and he was unable to recognize it right away. That time he did. He gets to the free throw line as those two guys are sitting on the bench watching. And when Silva's out of the game, looking at a player that's averaging just under 14 points per game, averages over 8 rebounds per contest, shoots 50% from the floor. I mean, he is a big part of what they want to do, and then averaging more than a block per game. So he's a rim protector on the defensive end. So it's not just about the offensive numbers. It's also what you miss at the defensive numbers. And then you talk about experience, and you mentioned this multiple times, how much turnover they had on the roster this year for South Carolina. He's the guy that really played, out of anybody on this roster, played that large role going through that tournament run. So there's some weight that comes with that.
And unfortunately for the Gamecocks, he was doing so much better this year. He fouled out of 10 games a year ago, but just 1 so far this year. He's been sitting for much of the night tonight. There's Porter with a block, helping out Robertson. Jonte Porter spotting up and knocking it down.
That's a beautiful drive by Geist. He goes baseline, brings both defensive players to him, and all night long, the scouting report, if it doesn't read that Jonte Porter is a pick and pop big, And then you need to start questioning your assistant coaches that are filing those scouting reports, because that's all he's done all night long. I don't know why they switched defensively there.
Myers trying to take advantage, and he does.
That was a really poor switch, and really that switch was created because Geist was lazy. He didn't fight through. I mean, he was already over the top of the screen when he decided he wanted to switch there, and he put Jontay Porter out on an island against a much quicker and more explosive first step in Myers, and advantage South Carolina.
Myers can't complete the three-point play. Geist on the drive, had it sent right back. 11 on the shot clock, and it's the return here of Chris Silva.
Well, set a little screen, drive baseline, get the attention of the defense, and then set up your big for a wide open three from the outside. It's been that kind of night for Missouri. They are on fire from three-point land.
You got two dominant physical teams.
Big boy Deron Payne with the ball. How about it? Sonny Michel will send the Dogs home to the championship game. Georgia and Alabama for the College Football Playoff National Championship.
Well, that national championship game coming up on Monday. All SEC affair. Missouri here leading South Carolina, looking for their first conference road win since January of 2014. And closing in on it, under 8 minutes to go. They've hit 12 three-pointers. They have scored 11, outscored South Carolina 11-zip on the fast break. And they have 16 points off of turnovers tonight. Over there for the Tigers out of the timeout. Booker taking it the distance.
And right now, if you're Missouri, you just want to take some time off and get a good shot every possession. You do not want to do what they did on that last one and give 3 runouts and allow Carolina to score without you setting up your defense.
Barnett driving baseline, kicking it out the other side. Porter is there, and Jontay Porter with another triple.
He's got 19 points now and 7 rebounds for Jontay Porter.
A new career high for the 6'11 freshman from Columbia. And he's doing it coming off the bench. Jeremiah Tillman's been in foul trouble all night. Right here trying to D up on Chris Silva, and he commits his 4th personal.
Yep, got him underneath with the body. And Silva will go to the free throw line, but it's been Jontay Porter. I mentioned it out of the half, how well he played in the first half. Credit the teammates. I mean, the teammates are setting the table, making sure that his shot attempts are wide open. They're drawing the attention. They're driving baseline. They're stepping back if he's popping from behind, or when he flattens out to the corner line on that last possession. And his dad on the bench, I taught him how to shoot like that. That's what I would be saying if I was over there and I was his dad.
Michael Sr., a new member of the coaching staff for Cuonzo Martin. Of course, Michael Porter was expected to be the star this year as a freshman, and then Jontay actually reclassified and came here a year early, got his high school graduation, and decided to join his dad and his brother at Missouri. Per year with the finish there. Expectation is that Michael will not be back to play this year, although at a press conference yesterday, Porter clarified that he's just not out of the realm of possibility. Expected to be a high draft pick if he did go to the NBA, and that's going to be it for Jontay Porter. That's his 5th personal foul.
And Jordan Guy stopped him and said, hey, where are you going? Don't get upset. He goes, no, I'm out of the game. I'm going to go sit down. And that's just a great rip through and attack by Silva. Silva playing aggressive with his 4 fouls, able to drive in and pick up the 5th on Jontay Porter and get the finish.
That's the 3rd time he's fouled out of a game this year, but for Jontay, 19 points, a new career high for him, 7 rebounds. And Chris Silva to the line. 18 points in 14 minutes for Chris. We're going to check out here.
And again, when he's out of the game, this is a very different Gamecocks team. It's not just, again, the points. It's easy to look at the points and say, boy, impacts the game. And clearly that makes a big difference, because when you score the ball and your opponent's taking it out of the net, your defense is going to be set up. And when you talk about Frank Martin, it starts with their defense, the ability to pressure and make you feel uncomfortable. But when you're saddled with the foul trouble that he's had, you're less aggressive at blocking shots. You're less aggressive going for rebounds. We've seen him pick up loose ball fouls on the rebounds tonight.
Robertson fouled on the drive. After Hinson had a nice block, he commits the foul.
Robertson has 2 shots.
Saturday on ESPN, we've got a couple of matchups for you from the ACC. First, it's Carolina and Virginia. That'll come your way at 1 o'clock Eastern. And then Saturday night, Duke and NC State. Both those streaming live on your ESPN app.
The ACC, as we've seen already tonight, again, another example of it. This is going to be so tough top to bottom. You look at the 3 best conferences in college basketball. The ACC, Big 12, and SEC are going to be the deepest conferences in the country, which means you're going to see some losses. And you're going to see teams lose games that maybe you don't predict that they're going to lose. And it's going to happen. And then the question becomes this, is can you get the bounce back win somewhere else where maybe you shouldn't get the win? And the difficult test of that is when you're going on the road.
Yep, North Carolina's going to have to try and get a bounce back. They lost down in Tallahassee tonight to Florida State. Tough matchup with Virginia coming their way.
And Leonard Hamilton's team is getting back to its root, the old junkyard dog defense that they've talked about. And when Leonard's teams have been this long and this aggressive.
Oh, scoop shot from Myers.
But when they're this long, this aggressive, and then they play that in the face, make you uncomfortable. And the key word for them is disruptive. How disruptive can you be at the defensive end of the floor? Whether it's altering shots or pressuring out to the ball.
Houston's having an impact. Running the basketball team from the football team. And a chance for a 3-point play here for Minaya as South Carolina tries to make things interesting late.
Well, the clock's got to stop. It's been running. So the clock is still running here inside the arena, and it's down to 4:21. And they're going to set it back to 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Back-to-back great drives, though, by South Carolina, applying pressure. And that's where they've had their most success, being straight-line drivers. And we mentioned in the first half that no Gravett tonight hurts them again in that position, a position that's so important at both ends of the floor.
Still without Hassani Gravett and Corey Holden on the perimeter.
I love the fact that Chris Silva is sitting at the scorer's table, ready to check in, and is screaming out defensive assignments, and now telling the offense to push it.
See if they can beat him off the bounce again.
And Frank Martin talks about needing leadership on his team. Chris Silva, as far as I'm concerned, has shown me some signs tonight of being that vocal guy.
He's waiting to check in here with Hinson going to the free throw line.
You mentioned Hinson playing on that football team, South Carolina, big bowl win. Responding back against Michigan.
Yeah, coming back to win that one. The only bowl loss of the season for the Big Ten, as a matter of fact.
Big Ten had a great run, obviously. You look at Ohio State and the way that they were able to handle USC. Sam Darnold, quarterback USC, and UCLA's quarterback Josh Rosen both announced they're going to go to the NFL draft.
It's the top 3 quarterbacks coming out as they join Josh Allen from Wyoming. 72-59, Missouri over South Carolina. Coming up tonight on Sports Center with Scott Van Pelt. Where in the world is Scott Van Pelt? He'll tell you what he's learned from the big midseason showdown, Cavs and Celtics. All the latest from Adrian Wojnarowski. We get close to the trade deadline. What's Trae Young up to? Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, little bedlam. All that and more coming up on Sports Center with SVP at 1 a.m. Eastern.
Are you going with this one? Is this your call?
You know, even though it's, I don't know if he grew the goatee over the winter break or not, but you know, I'm not sure if that guy's going to stay up to watch the 1 a.m. Sports Center with SVP, but he's going to give it his best shot.
Well, those NBA games tonight going to be a lot of fun.
Going to be talking a little Rosen and Darnold. That was a walk. Inside and a foul.
And is that going to be on Silva? And no, they're not going to call that one on Silva. That was a travel. Then a scrambled situation leads to the dunk underneath, and yeah, a little extension of the elbow.
Tillman to the line, 50% free throw shooter on the season, misses the first. Missed them both.
Life in the building and life for the Gamecocks.
Still time, 3.5 minutes. Inside, blocked from behind. Second chance, up and in.
See what happens when you give the fans Chick-fil-A sandwiches for 2 missed free throws? They get excited, and then it carries over and brings energy to your team. This is the first time tonight these fans have gotten on their feet.
They are making some noise now, trying to get right back in it. Been down by as many as 21, and SC on an 8-0 run right now. Robertson bumped.
And South Carolina continues to execute, continues to attack. You get the ball underneath. They've had a couple of straight line drives, and what they're doing is they're playing harder. They're playing more aggressive. They settled in the first half, 1 of 9 from beyond the arc. They were shooting a bunch of threes. They weren't hitting any of them. They allowed Missouri to be very, very comfortable. That hasn't been the case here during this course of this run. And let me remind you, this run has happened after Jontay Porter fouled out of the game.
For 3 minutes now, they got to play with a little sense of urgency here. If they can get Silva a touch, he's coming to set the screen. 3-pointer no good. Going to stay with South Carolina.
.13 deficit. You don't need the 3-point shot. I continue to attack, in particular, Silva. Hey, can you get him the ball down low on the block and let him go after Tillman? Tillman's got 4 fouls. He's not going to be that aggressive. Silva's smart enough. He's shown it already. He picked up that 5th foul on Porter. You get Tillman out of this game, and then you just keep attacking downhill. No, I don't like that possession.
And they're going to get bailed out. Minaya was fouled underneath.
I mean, that is a panicked, quick shot from Carolina. They get bailed out with the offensive rebound, but
that's what Silva was just reminding Famuke Doumbia, the 6'6" freshman. Didn't need that shot right there. And the youngster's going to come out. Beth Mowins and Sean Farnham with you. 2:08 to play. It's a 12-point game. Missouri trying to hang on for their first SEC road win since January of 2014. 32 losses in a row. Minaya for 3. Timeout, South Carolina.
offensive rebound by Chris Silva. If Silva wasn't in foul trouble tonight, how different would this game look? I mean, limited to just 7 minutes in the first half. He gets the offensive rebound that saves that ball, allows it for the quick ball reversal, and the corner three with nobody in Minaya's face.
Hey, he's back with us. USC right now on a 12-2 run. To make things interesting here, 2 minutes to play. Carolina is 0-1 in the league. This is the SEC opener for Missouri. And you got to go back to January 28th of 2014 at Arkansas. The last time Missouri picked up an SEC road win.
This is where growth and composure needs to be in place for Missouri, and this is where for Carolina, you want to see high pressure, high disruption within your defense, realizing you're down 9 with 2 minutes left to go.
Closest they've been in this second half, down by as many as 21.
We talk about the experience on this Missouri roster. Players like Barnett, Puryear, they've been around. But what they haven't been around are wins on the road in conference play. They're trying to learn here.
Puryear has it. Nice. Robertson gives up the 3 to take the 2.
And nobody there. I mean, literally the hesitation almost to travel. Because you couldn't believe that there was a seam and a gap and nobody was coming to try to guard the ball.
Ended a 4.5-minute scoring drought for the Tigers. 1.5 minutes to go.
And Jeremiah Tillman's going to foul out of the game.
Be the second Missouri big man to depart, joining Jonte Porter.
Look at this last basket from Missouri, and just a quick kick. Nobody steps to the ball. Everybody steps away. And then the help side rotation was completely out of position. And when you get the energy in the building, you get it to 9, you needed that stop if you're South Carolina.
Coates out at the line. It's on the first. It'll be a 3-guard lineup now for Missouri as Tillman leads. Knocks them both down. Martin telling his guys to put the brakes on, work that clock. And there's the foul.
Double bonus means 2 free throws.
Both teams are in it. Give me 1 Robertson.
The third straight game with 20 points. It's his fourth on the season. They're not going to allow the substitution to come in, even though the horn has sounded, because the ball was already in Robertson's hands. Right now, I'm packing the defense for Missouri. Close out to the shooters after they get on the catch, but just keep everything in front of you. Don't overextend, lunge, and reach. You don't want to foul.
And they turn it over. Robertson's got it. Final minute here for Missouri. Minaya almost got the strip. And then a foul with 13 seconds on the shot clock.
And if you were going to foul, you would have wanted to foul a lot sooner than that. And that'll be 5 personal fouls on Myers. This is going to be a massive win for Missouri moving forward. And you can't understate the fact that winning on the road in conference play this year, their schedule upcoming. This program, again, has struggled in recent years, and that's being kind. In conference play in particular, builds momentum. After a 10-3 non-conference, a loss to Illinois, to bounce back the way they did tonight, to shoot the ball as well as they did from beyond the arc, to have the production off the bench from Jonte Porter, a lot of positives on the playing ride back.
They got 14 three-pointers today, shot better than 50% from downtown. Good balance with 4 guys in double figures, including a new career high for Porter, 19. And now they'll get ready to head home to face Florida and Georgia in their next 2. South Carolina will host a Vanderbilt team. And of course, just knocked off Alabama. Don't forget Sports Center's coming up.
No need to foul in this moment. Just let the game club to a close if you're Carolina.
So the 3-year drought is over on the road for Missouri. 32 consecutive SEC road losses, and that'll come to an end as they win tonight in Columbia. 79-68, the final score.
It was Barnett and Robertson in the first half that kind of ignited the offense. Jonte Porter, near double-double at the break, comes back out in the second half, continues to knock down shots from beyond the arc. A team effort tonight for Missouri to pick up the win.
For Sean Farnham, I'm Beth Mowins. Thanks for being with us tonight in Columbia. Missouri gets the road win.